Hello, my name is Tom Whitecor. I'm the 119 Chief Pilot with Endeavor Air.
My name is Dave Wilson. I'm the Director of Flight Operations here at Endeavor Air.
As a 32-year captain with the airlines, I've seen a lot in this industry.
The airline industry might look very challenging right now, especially for those of you who may be in a flight program. Certainly we want to let you know, and we're confident that the airline will recover. People will get back into the airplanes and want to fly.
Remember the days immediately following 9/11 when no airliners were in the air for over 3 days. We didn't know how this industry would rebound. We didn't know how we were going to put together a system that could deal with those challenges. Today we have a much better idea how to deal with the challenges that we're facing with COVID-19. And we're taking active steps to make our customers safe on our airplanes and to ensure that we can grow this industry to where we all want it to be.
So as we work our way through this, we wanted to take a moment to encourage you to stay engaged, continue to stay current, continue to work on your pilot status, because we will recover, and we look forward to a time in the future where we'll be selecting pilots, and we certainly want to have you part of our team.
Keep aviation on the top of your mind and know that change is an essential part of this industry. We look forward to seeing you here on the property soon.
Hi, well, welcome this evening. My name is Beth Bierke, and I serve as the Associate Dean for the College of Aerospace. I want to welcome you to episode 3 of our Aerospace Career Speaker Series. We're very excited to have Endeavor Air, our regional airline partner, with us here this evening to give us some updates on their airline and the industry as a whole. So with that, I'm going to welcome Adam Kuzi, who is one of their pilot recruiters. Adam.
Hello, Beth. And again, we wanted to say thank you so much for having us here today. For all the students, instructors, or whoever may be watching, bear with us. We are kind of fighting some technical issues here, but that could very well be a user error on my end. I'm more of a flip phone guy, so the smartphones were a big jump, let alone a Zoom presentation is pretty far out of my league here. For those of you that I have not met yet, my name is Adam Kuzi. I'm one of the Senior Talent Acquisition Outreach Representatives with Endeavor, and I've been with the company for about 4.5 years now. Beth, I'm sure you know this by now, but not talking is not a strength of mine. So I do tend to talk quite a bit. And with that being said, you know, this is a very different time in the industry. Again, I've only been in it for about 4.5 years, but it looks a lot different now than it did when I started in this industry. So for you instructors, you students, you may be thinking that and seeing that as well. But please keep in mind that this is a cyclical industry. So although it may be different right now, please know and please remind yourself that we'll get better as time goes on here. So for this presentation, I'm actually kind of just the warm-up band. The stars of the show will be both Olivia and Jen, who will be leading this presentation. So with that, Olivia, I'll point to you.
Perfect. Thanks, Adam. Hi, everyone. My name is Olivia Rira. I am on the talent acquisition team, specifically on the pilot recruitment team as of now. I have been with Endeavor I started in December of last year. So I was here for about 3 months, and then COVID hit and things kind of went crazy. So it's been a very interesting year. I was in the accounting industry before this, doing HR and recruiting. So this is very different than anything I have been a part of before, but I absolutely love it. And even in the craziness of today, it's just been an awesome experience, and working at Endeavor has just been amazing. So I'm excited to be here, and I will pass it to Jen.
Thank you, Olivia. My name is Jen Shang. I am also a talent acquisition representative for the pilot team. I've been with Endeavor for, I feel like 1.5 years. I can't do my math right now, but I started in May of 2019 as a HR coordinator for the pilot selection team. And then 6 months down the road, I was lucky enough to interview for a talent acquisition representative. And so now I'm a pilot recruiter. So great on my end. I will start on the presentation here. So with the company overview, Endeavor, we are one of the we are the only wholly owned subsidiary to Delta Airlines. We're one of the 3 Delta connection carriers. Before COVID. Just wanted to let you know that this PowerPoint was made like for before COVID, so just know that some of these numbers could be a little bit different. But we did have that 800 flights plus flights a day per day, 15 million customers annually. As of August of 2020, we had 177 aircrafts. I apologize, that should be the October 2020, because we did bring home 2 new aircrafts. That's including the 177. And then we also have the 13 international destinations. Unfortunately, you can't see it on this slide. I don't know if we will be able to see it on any of the slides. I did add a QR code at the bottom right of the screen. So as you know, I'm sure many of you have seen Adam at UND fairs before, or presentations. If you know what that QR code, you know what to do. If not, that is part of our STEP program to sign up to be one of our STEP students. We will go in more in depth about what STEP is for in our presentation. So if you do know what that QR code is, though, you know how to use it. As for our operations, we do have the CRJ 900, CRJ 700, and then the CRJ 200. So again, we do have the 177 fleet size, 11 maintenance bases across the country. So one thing I want to mention about our CRJ 200, an effort to modernize the fleet and capture cost savings, Delta has elected to retire our CRJ 200s earlier than anticipated. So with that exact plan for this process, it's still being worked on, but we are excited to focus more on our modern aircrafts. So with talking about our operations, for our next slide, we can see that this is where Endeavor Air's city served. It looks like it's, obviously you can see that's more for the East Coast, but we do have pilots from all over the US to fly for us, so it's pretty neat. So who we are one of Delta's gold standards top performing regional airlines. And we are the only regional carrier to offer the defined career path for Delta. Obviously with the DGI, that's the Delta Guaranteed Interview. This is dependent on Delta's hiring needs. Obviously with what's going on now, we can't tell what Delta's hiring needs are and for the future going forward, but just wanted to mention that we are the only regional to offer that defined career path if Delta is your goal, your end goal. So if you do come to Delta, obviously you know that with an airline you will be getting free reduced travel rates. But the great thing about with Endeavor is that we do fly above other regional airlines on Delta. And for on Endeavor flights, we are higher seniority for Endeavor flights. So that's always a plus. And then we also have the Travel Companion Edition and a strong commuter policy for our crews.
Gotta unmute. So now just moving on to the very hot topic right now, COVID-19 safety. So I know a lot of you are probably wondering what we're doing as far as COVID goes and kind of how our company is handling it. Again, it is a very, it's just a very, things keep changing and we're just taking it as it is and changing with it. So some of the things that Endeavor is doing right now, we do have weekly updates that are going out via email to all the employees just to talk about what's going on, any updates that the company has or any new procedures we're rolling out, that will all be in that email. So it's a really great kind of snapshot of the week so we're all on the same page so we know what to do. We do require masks in all of our offices, basically everywhere. There's Adam's right there. He's always prepared. So masks are required, and then we also do temperature checks on at headquarters and to get into the building. And then we also have different COVID resources available. We have different financial programs that we're rolling out to kind of help guide people during this kind of unprecedented time, and emotional assistance as well in case anyone needs that. So Endeavor's been incredibly supportive of all our employees, just making sure that we all feel supported and we all feel that we're getting through this together, and we will get out of this together as one. So those are kind of some things that we're working on. Obviously, or hopefully you guys know how seriously Delta is taking this, and we're kind of just mimicking and mirroring everything Delta's doing as well. So, and Delta is right now just the top of the line as far as safety and health goes. So that's kind of what we are looking at right now for COVID.
And those are all great points, Olivia. And I hold up my mask, making sure you know that I have it, but I also want to mention that I am in a closed room, so there are no other employees around me as well. And just within this room right here, about 3 feet in front of me, it's Lysol wipes and hand sanitizer. Look on the ground and there's specific markings as to what would be 6 feet for a maximum capacity of 2 in a room that normally holds about 4 or 5. And this is just a couple of examples of what I can see 5 feet in front of me. You go to our crew rooms, you go to the different floors at our headquarters, it's all the same. We're all looking to do what can we do, because we all have to take a part in making sure that we're social distancing and doing what we can to help us just speed up the process of overcoming this pandemic. I see some chats coming through here, so I did want to take a quick moment to mention, please keep sending questions through the chat box. If you do have anything, we'll be sure to get back to those at the end. Right now, I'm not touching them just because technical difficulty wise, I'm afraid if I open it, my whole screen's gonna go out here. So I promise I'm not overlooking them. Keep on sending those and we'll get back to that when we can.
And real quick, I think what Adam meant is make sure to send your questions to the Q&A on the bottom of your screen. So, and again, we do apologize for the technical difficulties. We tried to bring, try to troubleshoot the 10 minutes leading up to this. So unfortunately, there is the little white box, but at least it's better than what it was before this. So again, apologize for that. Thanks.
Great point. Well, I just want to take a quick slide here because I'm selfish and I like to talk. I wanted to talk about a quick new update with Endeavor Air. We have announced and we'll be formally introducing our new CEO tomorrow at a town hall that will be both David Garrison, who's our current CEO, and Jim Graham, who will be our new CEO, just to talk a little bit more about the future of Endeavor and the direction that we're going as well. So you may follow some news with Delta Airlines. A big announcement was Gil West's retirement. And a part of that, what happened was a restructuring of some different leadership positions at Delta. So David Garrison, who is our current CEO, is moving into a leadership position at Delta. So with that being said, Jim Graham will become our new, not only the CEO of Endeavor, but also the Senior Vice President of Delta Connection. So it's bittersweet. David has been fantastic leading us through the beginning of this COVID crisis, but we wish him all the best as he moves forward. And we're thrilled to have Jim Graham join our team as the new CEO of Endeavor. There's a couple bullet points down below there. And I apologize if our faces are blocking them off there. Again, kind of some technical difficulties here. But Jim has been with Delta for about 32 years. And prior to Delta, he actually served in the Navy as a naval aviator for 7 years. And then when he retired from the active duty, he went into the reserves along with starting with Delta as well. So it's great experience that Jim is bringing here to Endeavor. And we're looking forward to seeing all the great changes he brings with him as well.
Okay, so now moving on to STEP. Hopefully some of you know what our STEP program is. Adam has been on campus many times doing presentations, interviews, career fairs. So hopefully some of you are aware of what it is, but for those of you who aren't, STEP stands for Student to Endeavor Pilot. So kind of to give you a little background on what it is. So the purpose of the program is to educate and engage students and instructors so they can be well prepared once they leave UND and hopefully come to Endeavor. So with it, there's no commitment. So it is not like other programs out there where you are committing that you are going to work at Endeavor someday. It is, you just sign up online and then you are in the program. There isn't an application, an interview, there isn't anything like that. It is just simply so you're in the loop of what's going on at Endeavor. You get different updates and different perks of being in the program, and we'll kind of go through that shortly. And why would you want to join the STEP program? Really just so you have that direct access to the gold standard of regional airlines. We want people to be informed and understand what the different regional airlines out there provide and what they can do for your career as a pilot. And we want to make sure that you're making the right decision when you are graduating UND or leaving UND and moving on with your career. And especially when you're just starting out, there's so many different opportunities out there for you. So joining the STEP program, you get a firsthand view of what a career at Endeavor looks like, and hopefully that can really show you and prove to you that Endeavor is the right choice for you. And then that second bullet on there just said that we'll be on campus when we can be. Traditionally, we were on campus 2 to 3 times a semester during presentations, career fairs, whatever it may be. Right now, obviously, that's kind of on pause, but we are really hoping to get back out there someday soon and connecting with you guys. Otherwise, we do have these virtual presentations that we'll be providing, and hopefully we can just move forward after all this is figured out. Okay, so then what do some of our presentations look like? We do really like to hear from our STEP students what they want to hear about. So we are coming on campus and doing these virtual presentations to help you guys. It is totally in your best interest, and the purpose is to benefit you. So we always try to open it up and ask, what do you guys want to hear? What is kind of going on right now? What do you want to, what haven't we talked about in a while? And we do try to switch it up every time that we are on campus. So some of the presentations that we have conducted in the past would be how to prepare for an interview. So more of the HR type, prepping for an interview and making sure you're well set up when that time comes. And then again, kind of down that line, resume review and tips, and what you can do as a student to really set yourself up for success. And then some of our other presentations that are more based for the pilots would be a day in the life, which is a really popular presentation. Literally goes through the minute you wake up to the minute you go to sleep as a pilot, and you kind of see what a day in the life would look like if that was your life. So gives you a really great firsthand look of what your career would look like, and from a firsthand Endeavor pilot. So that one is a great one. And then we also have how to prepare for training, flying in the winter, different presentations out there. We try to really hone in on what you're interested in and what can benefit you. And we're always open to new ideas. So if there's ever anything you want to hear about, just reach out to us and we can definitely work on something to set up and give you guys all the resources that you need. Okay, so then going on to another huge perk of being in the STEP program is that you can interview with us within 12 months of hitting your minimums. That is an awesome benefit, because just to have that peace of mind to know that you have, if you receive a contingent job offer, that you have that job, you don't have to worry about interviewing after you graduate, and just knowing that your career is set for you. So that is something that isn't offered to anyone else, just our STEP students, that you have that that option to interview with us within a year of hitting your minimums. And we do conduct interviews pretty much every time we are on campus. You will get an email from one of us, one of the recruiters, and we will let you know when we'll be on campus and when we will be conducting those interviews. And then you email us back with your interest, and we can work on setting something up. Usually we have designated days that we are doing those interviews, but we are totally flexible and we want to work with your schedule. So we will work together to make sure we get you interviewed in person on campus, so it's really comfortable for you. You don't have to travel, you don't have to go out of your way to go anywhere. We come to you, we get those interviews done, and you might get a job offer on the spot. And again, like many things in this presentation, this is all pre-COVID. So things might change in the next few months as far as the interview process goes, but this is typically how we handled them in the past, and hopefully this going forward is how we will continue to conduct those interviews.
And that's a great point, Olivia. And we like to highlight this slide. So, we first off started off saying that the industry is a little different right now. So with Endeavor, we have paused our interviews and our recruitment efforts, but we still like to mention this slide just because it really highlights the value that we perceive students that are going to the University of North Dakota amongst the other STEP schools that we have as well. So if you do have that feeling of, gosh, this industry is looking a little different right now, we hope that this slide does give you a little reassurance that we do highly value students and instructors that have the background that you are gaining by attending the University of North Dakota.
Perfect. So now just showing you how easy it is to sign up for STEP. So again, it is a very simple process. We're not asking for a ton of information, or we're not screening anyone to join. This is all you do. So you will see this page. You can see it on our website. There is a specific tab just for STEP students where you can see all of our partner schools and universities, and then you can also sign up for STEP there. We also send this link out so you can sign up at your discretion as well. So you put in your email, put in your name, your flight school, the ratings you've completed, and your current total hours. So that's all the information we need from you. Once you've submitted all this, you will be a part of our STEP program, and then going forward, we'll talk about that, but it's very easy to just log back in. Again, you just use your email. You can use that QR code as well to just quickly get your information loaded. We will have, or in the past, we've had iPads available at all of our events that we either passed around or had up on the table at different career fairs. And just when you attend those events, we just ask that you log in to just mark that you attended, and so we can keep track of the students that we know that are attending and that are very active in our program. So when you do log back in, we don't ask for any additional information. You just put in your email address, and then you're able to also update your profile with hours and ratings. And we do try to request that you guys update this as often as possible, just so we can have the most current information on our end when we are reviewing resumes and profiles to reach out to for interviews or whatever that may be. So just make sure you're trying to update that at least on a monthly basis so we can have the most up-to-date information on our records. And then some other kind of cool perks of being part of the STEP program and regularly updating your profile. We will let you know when we're attending those larger events that are nationwide, any different conferences that are going on, or aviation events. We'll always let you know what events we'll be going to. So if you're planning on going as well, hopefully we can connect and meet up, or just say hello, stop by, whatever works on your end. We also have different giveaways and contests that we do. If you update your profile regularly, we do try to reward our students and make sure that they know that we're really appreciative that they're taking it seriously and really passionate about the program. So we do different contests, different giveaways. One very large contest that we had in the beginning of this year. We did do kind of a drawing or a raffle for the students that were the most active and who had updated their profile the most in the past month or two. And then we did a drawing or a raffle, and those students who won were able to attend an event in Atlanta at the Delta Museum with the recruiting team and our CJO holders. Very exclusive event. We had a large dinner, games, got to go to the museum. It was just an amazing, incredible event, and no cost on your end. So that was a great incentive, awesome time, a really great way to connect with Endeavor pilots and really build those foundations and connections. So hopefully that's a good incentive to make sure you're updating your profile and getting us the most current information.
So as Adam mentioned before, Endeavor has paused our hiring for the pilot team. And so if you're looking at this and you're curious, like an application pre-flight, like did our application open? Are we hiring? As of now, our application is still closed, and we are still at pause for hiring. So the only reason why we are bringing this into our presentation is to let you know that even though as of now we aren't hiring, keep in mind that you're still in the process to the application and interview process. So our basic requirements for, the basic requirements for us are a few bullet points, obviously, as you can see here. By the ratings, we mean by your commercial and your multi-ratings. However, we feel like it's always great to have additional ratings too. Your first class medical, as applying for, this is one of the advantages as being a STEP student, because if you're applying as a off the street, you would be required to have your first class prior your interview with us. So that's one of the requirements to have before you can come into the office to interview. However, as a STEP student, if you don't have your first class medical and we are interviewing, our next question would be if you can obtain a first class medical prior starting with Endeavor. So that's kind of one of the advantages as a STEP student. With coursework, depending on the candidate, since it is in line with the ATP or a restricted ATP. So if you're going to go for that restricted ATP, of course, you'll have to meet those coursework requirements for that qualification. And then your flight time, which is also a big differentiation with off the street and STEP. As you may have heard, Olivia did say that STEP students are eligible to apply within 12 months of reaching their ATP or restricted ATP minimums. So this is pretty much double of what the time someone will need off the street. So this also gives the best way for our STEP students to interview at an earlier rate. So then the previous slide we talked about those basic requirements. I want you to keep in mind that even with those basic requirements, we are interviewing all those who have those basic requirements. So beyond the basic requirements, we look at a few desirable characteristics that would stand beyond that. So with attitude, it's important due to how you can approach to things, show how your attitude is towards others, and creating a positive environment for us. And dedication, showing that you are dedicated to become a professional pilot, stand out for us. Your desire, time, and effort, as they kind of align together, it's just more for getting ready to submit that application and to go into the interview. Really taking that time to put that attention to detail into those documents and presenting yourself as a professional pilot. So getting started. I'm sure you guys already made that decision of that, yes, I want to be a pilot in the future. So what we want you to know is to be sure that this is what you want to do for your life, because then you should wholly dedicate yourself to that career starting now. As you can see, I mentioned it's a highly regulated career. So your past will haunt you. I'm afraid to say that, but yes, it will. We would hate to see you be such a great potential professional in that pilot field, and due to personal choices, we're unable to control that. So that's just something that you should know, is that your past, we will look at your past. So always think about the long haul and set your goals, make your plans, and then follow through with them.
Okay, so now moving on to what the interview process looks like. So we do have two different interviews that I'm going to talk about that we offer. The first one will be an interview in our headquarters building here in Minneapolis. And this is typically for people who apply on our website who aren't usually STEP students, who are just applying kind of off the street, or for STEP students who are unable to attend our interview time slots, and we can't really make anything work on both of our ends, so we fly them to Minneapolis for them to complete their interview at our headquarters. So again, you submit your application on our website, then you will be contacted by one of our pilot recruiters to conduct that first phone interview. And if all goes well, if that phone interview is successful, we will invite you to headquarters for that interview. The interview itself is completely the same as it is on campus. It's just kind of in a different area. So you're not in the comfort of your home, but still it's the exact same interview layout. Then if that goes well and that is successful, we do extend our CJOs, or contingent job offer, on that day. And you also do the paperwork processing that day as well. So instead of doing things kind of on separate days like you might if you're interviewed on campus, everything is done at once, since you're conveniently at our headquarters, and we just kind of get it all done on that day. So again, this was what it looked like pre-COVID. Not sure what it's going to look like going forward. We're not sure if we're going to offer interviews or video interviews, or how that's going to kind of work out going forward. But this is how it was done in the past, and so just wanted to shed light on that. And then the field interview will be done on campus. So like I mentioned before, we'll let you know when we're on campus, and hopefully work out a time that works best for both of us, and get you scheduled for that interview. It will be done with one of the pilot recruiters, and then a pilot as well. So I guess they're technically pilot recruiters as well, but one of the HR recruiters and one of the pilots. So you'll have two people in the interview kind of working on it together. And again, the CJO is extended that same day if you are successful with the interview. So that is very similar to the interview at headquarters. And then with paperwork processing, that is done closer to your start date. So, or once you hit those minimums. So we'll kind of keep tabs on where you're at as far as your hours go, and we'll stay in touch with that. And then once you are close, we will call you in. We'll get you into the office to do that paperwork processing, and then get everything done when you come to the office. And then just a side note as well, the CJO does expire 12 months after the offer date. So keep that in mind when you're looking at when you want to interview, as far as when you're going to graduate or hit those hours, and what you're looking for as a start date.
All right, well, hopping over to this next slide here, call me Mr. Repetitive, but I'm going to say it again. You may be thinking, why are we talking about interviews when you have mentioned multiple times now that you're not hiring and you've paused your pilot application window? And again, I apologize for how many times I've said this, but it's because the interview process preparing for that doesn't start when you're ready to interview. It starts day one of your pilot training. I would try to do a poll here, but the tech savvy level of that, my laptop would probably melt. So that's again way out of my realm with that. But I know there's probably some freshmen here, sophomores, juniors, seniors, flight instructors, maybe even those that have CJOs with us. It's important to remind yourself that now is not the time to be complacent with wherever you are at in your career. For however long this pause extends for among all airlines, that's going to build the talent pool that's looking to take those jobs, and that's going to increase the competitiveness of those that are looking to fly for regional airline or wherever it may be. So the important question, and what's going to be very telling to the interview team, is what you do from now until that point if you're ready to go. Are you going to be someone that just sits around just waiting for that call? Or are you going to be someone that's going to add a new rating, to do a different or get involved with a different volunteer or community service event? We want to see those that are continuously focused on building their pilot portfolio, both professionally and personally as well. Now that's kind of, the senior, the flight instructor level right now, but now we have freshmen, sophomores, and juniors as well. You may have already started flying, you may be getting ready to begin your flight training, but again, keep in mind that it's a little different in the industry right now, and the competitiveness of those jobs is going to increase. But I say this as encouraging words for you, because again, take a step back and realize that you are at the University of North Dakota, one of the top aviation colleges in the United States, if not the world. That's a great thing to have on your resume. Now look to see what else you can do by getting involved to differentiate yourself, just make yourself that much more competitive. So again, that's why we really dive into this part of the presentation, to get you thinking about these things now rather than when it's too late. So looking at the interview components with Endeavor specifically, these are the 3 parts to the interview. So it's broken down with the HR section, behavioral questions, along with the technical portion. So the HR portion, that's basically what you have done in your career to get you to that point of the interview. So you'll talk about your education, you'll talk about your work history, you'll talk about your flight training. Additionally, that may be a time to talk about different aviation organizations you're a part of, or different events that you've hosted, different events that you've led, different community service events that you've done. So again, for us on the interviewing side of things, there's 2 different sides to that. There are candidates that may join for one day just to put it on a resume. Then there's those candidates that join different groups freshman year, that do different community service events, year after year. So it's a reoccurring event. So if you put that on your resume and we ask you about that, there could be 2 very different stories. Either, I only did that one time just because I had to, or you have a full story backing up why you are passionate about that certain item. So again, when you get yourself involved, make sure you're doing it for the right reasons and be passionate about it. Looking at the behavioral-based questions, we'll talk about that here in a minute and an effective way to answer that. And some of you on this presentation may have seen this talked about over and over and over again. Well, guess what? I'm going to talk about it one more time just because it's that important to your career, especially as the competitiveness increases for the pilot position. Lastly will be the technical portion of the interview, where as we have it set up, it'd be 12 aerodynamic questions. And then you'd be briefing a approach chart and then a weather chart to us as well. So hopping over to this next slide here, this is called the STAR method, and this is a very effective way to answer those tell me about a time when questions, or let's put you in this situation, how would you react type of questions. So again, why we bring this up is you're building your stories for this interview day 1 of pilot training. Chances are you may have a bad day in your pilot training, you may have a great day, and those are both great learning experiences if you take the time to reflect on them and to note them as well. So the acronym STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result. Situation, what was going on? What were the events leading up to the event that occurred? The task is what you needed to do specifically to overcome the given situation that you found yourself in. The actions, what were the actions that you took specifically to overcome that challenge? And the result, what ultimately ended up happening because of what you did. So when it comes time to the interview and we ask you a question, tell me about a time when you showed great customer service. Chances are all you students, all you instructors will have those stories, will have those experiences, However, if you don't take the time to reflect on them, if you don't take the time to jot them down, it's going to be challenging to recall those when you have the pressure of the interview itself and you have interviewers, looking at you expecting your answer. So we suggest, and I do it myself as well too, to either have, notes on your phone or a Word document where, as you have a lesson where it was good or bad and you learned a lot from it, whether you're a flight instructor and have abnormal experience, whether you are leading an event with an organization on campus and you have to show leadership skills. After those events occur, take 5 minutes after they occur to jot them on down and then study them the day before, 2 days before your interview, and that will make a world of difference. Again, we like to bring this up just because of the competitiveness of that pilot position. These are all things that you can do to strengthen your position when it comes to being competitive for that position. So kind of a recap of everything here. What we wanted to do was to leave some time at the end just for Q&A, because we know and we're sure that you have a lot of questions, so we want to do our best to answer them. If we can't answer them today, we'll circle back to them as well. But as you're progressing in your career, as you are building your pilot portfolio, as you start constructing your resume, your cover letter, submitting your application, remember that that's about 4, 5, 6+ years of experience, all condensed into a few pages of paper. So for us, that is a snapshot of what you have done in that time. So it's very important to take your time with what you're doing. You want to be complete, you want to be thorough, you want to be accurate as well. You also want to take the time to proofread what you're doing just to make sure that you have everything as crystal clean as you'd like it to be. Remember, these are all little things, but little things do add up over the long run. So just make sure that you're being careful when you construct those resumes and cover letters. And as always, if you have any questions about how to do that, you have 3 resources here with myself, Jen, and Olivia, and we'd be more than happy to facilitate those conversations, provide you our feedback as well. Jen and Olivia and Beth as well, I'm a little nervous about playing our video just because I think my computer may shut down completely here if I try to exit out. Would you two be comfortable if we move to the Q&A section?
Yeah, I think that'd be fine. And if there is a link too, we can always put it into the chat and they can watch it another time as well if it's a video that's available online.
Perfect. That's what we'll do then. And we just want to note that our 119 Chief Pilot, Tom Wycor, along with our Director of Flight Operations, Dave Wilson, they wanted to buzz in here quick and also say hello to the students and instructors. And they wanted to ultimately provide you with words of encouragement, given their experience. These are 2 professionals that have been in the industry for quite a long time. They just wanted to stop by and to encourage you to stay positive, just because, as we were saying, the airlines go up and down, and although things are a little different right now, we're all confident that it will rebound, and it's always a great time to be pursuing the pilot profession, no matter what your dreams or goals are. With that, Jen, are you able to access the Q&A side?
Yes, I am.
Perfect. I'll pass it to you.
All right, so we do have a first question here. It says, do you have to wear a mask in a cockpit? Adam, I actually not sure about this. I believe, yeah.
With that, it would be the flight deck. So, if you have that flight deck door open and passengers are boarding, we want you to wear that mask just because you're kind of in the public light there. However, when it is closed and it's just the 2 pilots, you are able to take off that mask. And again, that's as far as I remember it. Full disclosure, I did take a voluntary leave of absence. So today is actually my first day back. So I do want to verify the different communications that have gone out, but to my understanding, that is the most accurate information regarding the mask and the flight deck.
That was what I was told too, and I just wanted to reassure if that was correct. So, and then our next question here is, even as a freshman, do you recommend joining STEP? Yes, I do, just because it is a non-commitment program. And the STEP program is really just to let you have that connection with our pilot recruiters and our HR recruiters ourselves, just to get that information about Endeavor. You get that newsletter, you get an email from your recruiter about what's going on with Endeavor. I mean, I just don't see a problem with it because it is no commitment at all. So we want you to have that option of that option open to go wherever you want to go. But with the STEP program, we are just helping you become professional in the aviation career industry. We have another question here that says, I noticed that in order to sign up this for STEP, a resume is required. Do you have any tips of how to start building my resume? I don't believe a resume is required. We have just the email, your name, your flight school ratings completed, and then the current total hours. I do believe you have the option to enter your resume. However, with tips of starting your resume, I would say start now with where you are now, what business, sorry, I forgot to mention, what you've been doing, like job-wise, community service, anything like that. And I would mention just to bullet point it, and then look at that, and then look at what you think stands out for you, and then forward that on to a resume. If you do happen to write up a resume, I mean, I'd be more than happy to look at it too once you've completed that resume. That's for Austin Pierce. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention your name. There are some anonymous questions too. So as a freshman with the private, can we sign up for STEP now? Yes, you definitely can sign up for STEP. Once you are in UND is one of our partnered schools, you can sign up right away. So, and I recommend doing it right away because we do often have events. So that would be something great to just be a part of. Another anonymous asked, where on the STEP profile can hours be updated? I do believe, I do believe, Adam, if you can help me out, I'm not sure, I don't think I've ever been through that side of profile for updating hours, but unfortunately with that QR code, since we can't see it, maybe we can have Beth send them out to all the participants to sign up for STEP. And then when you sign up for STEP, it typically just takes you to a page where you enter in if you've already signed up, you enter your email, and then, or if you haven't signed up, you enter your email, and then from that, you'll have to enter in your hours.
You're spot on there, Jen. I'm sorry, I'm hitting some internet issues on my end here, so I'm just talking to myself in this room here, but I guess that's kind of nothing new anyway. But just like you mentioned with the whole resume, there should be a small button on the bottom right that allows you to skip it. If not, please let us know. That's something that we intend to have there, which is a way just to kind of bypass that. But it is important to come back to that and enter that later in, just to, again, help building your career. It sounded like the second question was about logging in and updating hours. Is that correct?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes, I was just going to mention you can go on the Endeavor site to update your hours.
Exactly. So the first time you log in, what will happen, it'll be your email address, and then you'll enter that information just about hours, year in school, where you go to school, things like that. If you click that QR code, what will happen is you'll enter your email address, assuming you've already signed up, and it'll say, hey, thanks for attending. That's all it'll be for that. But when you go to Endeavor's website and click on endeavorair.com/step and click login, it will be your email address, but it'll also ask for that password that you create just because that is your profile. Once you enter those two things, that will bring you back to that page that you'll be able to update your hours, update your ratings, update your year in school. And if you forget your password, happens to me as well, there's a quick little button that'll be kind of walk you through that process to do so.
Thank you, Adam. So I have a next question here from Nathan, and I apologize for if I mispronounce your last name, Bagel. What would you recommend as for updating, how frequency for updating a STEP profile? Usually we just recommend as much as you can. I mean, as a recruiter on our side, we get to see you update your profiles, and we love seeing those hours add up. So, but it's really just when you can update those hours. That'd be just great. Sorry, these questions are rolling in really fast, so I'm just trying to make sure my screen is, I can see those questions. This question is from Madeline Patterson. How long is the initial flight training once you get hired as a pilot at Endeavor? I would have to say about 6 to 8 weeks. I don't have my training schedule here with me. I usually have it at my desk and it tells me what specifically you're learning each week, but it is up to 6 to 8 weeks.
Yep. So with that, Jen, just like you said, 6 to 8 weeks, that would be more so like the in school or ground school along with the simulator training.
Yes.
There's about another 4 weeks or so that'd be called OE, which is basically you're flying the plane, but you're with a senior pilot that is there to, critique you, give you tips, just make sure that you're proficient. So what we would quote from day one until completion of that OE, which is that operating experience, about 90 to 100 days. Granted, things are subject to change, just as we do have challenges with getting everyone through with COVID, but that's what we experienced prior to that time.
Next question here is from Wyatt Jones. In a resume, would it be wise to include all work experience and accomplishments, even if they are not related to what Endeavor does as an air carrier? Or would you prefer only flight-related experience and accomplishments? I believe, all you have is great. It just really depends on what experience, if you think that it really relates to yourself as a person. I think it's great to have that on your resume, just so we can kind of see where you're coming from. But I think that would be really up to you. I would just recommend to keep a resume up to 1 page. So that's what I can recommend with that resume. Do you guys have any other recommendations with that?
Yeah, I was just going to say that, like you said, Jen, try to keep it to 1 page, 1 to 2 pages. We don't need the last 20 years of your experience on tons of different pages. That just gets overwhelming and wastes time during the interview going over things that aren't really relevant to your career right now. So try to keep it as focused to the career that you're interested in as much as possible, and then feel free to add in other positions as necessary, but as much training or experience, even if it's volunteer or extracurriculars that are related to the airline industry itself, that really will make your resume stand out and really show us how you're passionate about being in the airline industry. So we know that you can't have all your jobs specifically in the airline industry, so we are very, very aware of that, but as much as possible, try to keep it as airline focused as you can.
Thank you. So our next question is from an anonymous. It says, how many years does it take after college on average to get an interview with Endeavor Air? So as a college student, you will be getting those flight hours in at UND. So you can, if you do, depending on what coursework you're going to for ATP or restricted ATP, as long as you are within 12 months of reaching your minimums. So that was. All right, next question here. With airline industry always taking hits from global events, what do you say to student pilots to keep us optimistic about our careers? As mentioned before, you'd mentioned those global events, and we have risen from them. So obviously in the industry, it's always up and down. So just, I know we have our students who are afraid of what's going on right now, but just know that we are expecting to just go back up. Adam and Olivia, do you have any thing to add with that question?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's one of those things that's kind of, speculation based in that sense. So I can't, speak for the general population. Just thinking of myself personally, I absolutely love to travel. As much as I appreciate doing these events, having those face-to-face interactions with the students and instructors about why I think you should enjoy Endeavor, it's completely different than this. So you think about that as well, and then just expand that to business as a whole. When you're trying to sell your product, when you're trying to engage and make a relationship to do business with whatever company, virtual is great. However, I would argue nothing beats that, handshake and that face-to-face interaction. So although right now it's definitely on the safer side, perspective of the general population to do these types of events, I do foresee that turning into more so the face-to-face interactions again when people are more willing and excited to travel as well.
Great. So our next question here is from an anonymous again. Can it be normal? Can it be a normal resume, or does it need to be a pilot resume for the STEP sign up? So as Olivia mentioned before, and she did a great point to mention that it mostly towards to put a resume out for more towards aviation. However, now, I mean, you can always update that resume every time you sign in for STEP. So again, completely up to you if you want to enter in that resume right now, or if you want to wait until you have those experiences and then enter that resume in. So that's what I have to say with that.
And it may be a silly point to make as well too, but don't have the mindset that you have to have one resume for everything. You can have a resume that you want specifically tailored to a pilot job at Endeavor. You could have a resume that's specifically tailored towards an internship at wherever. So you don't necessarily have to have a one-size-fits-all resume. That can change, and you can highlight different things or add and take away different things depending on the position or the job that you are applying for.
Thank you. So our next question here, and I apologize again if I mispronounce your name, it's Mikey Avila. You mentioned that you joined late and don't know if it was covered. So how will you guys be tracking the participation of attending these events for students already in the STEP program? You mentioned that last year we had those tablet sign-ins for those with the STEP account. Unfortunately, we did have with our PowerPoint, we didn't have a QR code at the bottom right of our corner, but due to technical difficulties, there was a white block covering it up. Obviously, right on the QR code too. I think there was something going on there. But I believe we can just ask Beth for a email list if she happens to have it of all the participants who join, and send out that QR code from there.
And this was the nerdy side of me. I was getting really excited to see some familiar names. So I actually had my other laptop pulled up to see who interacted with us. But we'll come back to that. And basically what happens then is we can see the number of events that you attend. So let's say you sign up at a virtual career fair that we're doing now. Let's say down the road we're there for an in-person career fair, and you either interact with the QR code or the iPads. Again, we'll kind of see how that looks and what's appropriate at that time. But then we could see that you have 2 events and then 3 events. And that's our way of kind of it's great that we can see the events that you're attending, but more importantly, that helps us remember who you are. So every time we see you, it's not, hey, XYZ, my name is so-and-so. It's going to be, hey, it's great to see you again. How did that last rating go that you mentioned to us in the STEP program? So this helps us kind of build that relationship with you and helps us get that awkward, hey, it's great to meet you. My name is, after I've met you 5 times before.
All right, so from Wyatt Jones, you said, do you as Endeavor work closely with the Delta Propel program? We do know what the Delta Propel program is. Unfortunately, we don't really work that close to them. However, this past year I was at NGPA. We were seated right next to Delta. I mean, we were standing right next to Delta, and the Delta Propel program was also there. So they're very kind of pushing those who have applied for the Delta Propel program and have not been accepted to the program, but they do politely just push you towards Endeavor too, because Endeavor's obviously we're the wholly regional airline with them. So unfortunately we do not, but we work together, but not closely, if that makes sense. Does that make sense to you guys of what I was trying to say? All right.
Honestly, I was trying to look at the attendees list, and I already see some familiar names on there, so it may take some time to call out all those people, but great to see some familiar names. Jen, I completely missed the question. I heard Propel. Could you repeat the question again?
Yeah, so the question was just if we work closely with the Delta Propel program, and I mentioned that we don't work closely, but we are But if we are seen together at a fair together, and the Delta Propel program like will push you towards Endeavor if you don't get accepted into that program.
Yeah, and that's a great opportunity with that Propel program. The STEP program and Propel, they are ultimately two different programs. However, we want to hire as many Propel students that we can. If you were to make it into the Propel program, and if you choose the regional road, really you have three choices of the carriers of which you can fly for. So we do frequently see people that are in Propel that are also in STEP. And what that does for them is it gives them more information about Endeavor and ultimately helps them make that decision of where they want to go. So although they are two separate programs, we do interact with, basically every student that is in Propel, as we want to attract them to come to Endeavor. And even if you apply for Propel and aren't, don't make it into that program, we still want to chat with you because we still know how competitive that program is. And we think Endeavor would be a great place for you to work.
Thank you. So I do see in the chat from Beth that says, sorry, I don't get a list of emails who is on here. I was just thinking, Adam or Olivia, if you don't mind, you can grab that link into that from iCIMS. And then if you don't mind entering into that chat box, we can do that quickly here. I do see that it is 6 o'clock, so I'm unsure how long we can go further into those questions. Beth, it's up to you.
I think you have time for one more question if you want to take it.
Okay. Are you, let me just look really quick. Is there a preference between university volunteering versus volunteering for things on a personal level to include in your resume? Again, as Olivia mentioned, we do love seeing more towards aviation-based volunteering. However, it really is up to you of what you think would be best on your resume. We do have our next question here for CGO holders that it expires soon. Where do we stand after all 12 months compared to other applicants? For those who do have a CGO holder with us, I can let you know that we are currently in the process of writing a letter for all of our CGO holders. So just keep an eye out for that email. I don't have anything else more to say about that, just more general, like just keep an eye out of those emails that we send out to our CGO holders.
Yeah, I'm kind of echoing you there, Jen. We're still getting information as we go along here as well. So unfortunately, we don't have a lot of answers to a lot of the questions that you have. But what we'll do is at least once a month, try to reach out to you just to keep you updated with what's going on in Endeavor. And as soon as we get more information to send to you, of course, we'll send that out to you. And we're thinking about you. We know that this is not how you anticipated your career ending or beginning at a regional. But please know we're still thinking about you, and we want to just make sure we communicate with you the best that we can. And we appreciate your patience and flexibility with all of this.
All right, well, I just want to thank you, Adam, Olivia, and Jen for joining us this evening and presenting kind of an update on Endeavor, as well as the process and how to start getting involved and start networking and engaging. So we really appreciate our longstanding partnership with Endeavor. We have a lot of great alum I know flying and working management positions at your airline, and we're very proud of that. And for those that don't know, Endeavor Air is actually based in Minneapolis, so very close by. So once things calm down from the pandemic, I know a lot of student groups tend to go down there and tour and see the operation. So it kind of feels like the hometown airline as well. So again, thank you for taking the time this evening to be with us. It's greatly appreciated. Adam, I know we'll be looking for that video that you mentioned, and we'll see if we can tie it to this presentation as well when we post it online. But again, thank you, and we can't wait to have you back on campus once this pandemic is over. We miss our career fairs, we miss our in-person presentations, and filling the atmosphere here. We're filling Clifford Hall for one of your nights. So again, thank you for the support.
And I apologize for just jumping in. I did just share that link onto that chat. So if you are interested in signing up for STEP or going back into STEP and updating your profile, just click onto that link. I don't know how long that chat stands for, so I just wanted to say that quickly.
We'll make sure to upload that too on our channel on our end. So again, thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.